In an age of political correctness is the term we always hear. In an age of everybody feeling, it seems, that somehow they're slighted because somebody said this or that. Where does an old man like me fit in? I don't know if I fit into that. I grew up in a time, man, when, anybody could basically slander the shit out of you. They could say any goddamn thing that they wanted to say. Call me a honky, call me this, call me that. I could call them right back if I felt inclined to do so. What is all this? Everybody's suing somebody because I felt hurt inside, or my butt hurt. I felt butt hurt. Okay, we joined the club. We all got hurt emotionally or whatever else growing up. Back in my day, the gray, see the gray here? This gray was earned. Okay, it didn't become gray from sitting around waiting for a check in the mail or anything else because everybody owes me a living because I'm so butthurt or this or that. Yeah, nothing's perfect. There's a lot of people around here who aren't gray yet but are going gray because they are contributing to society, and yet when I see what the taxes do, I contribute taxes just like everybody else who works hard. And then I read the news because that's not enough for me to just work and come home. I've got to see what's going on in the world. I want to know what's going on in our nation mainly, and obviously mainly because it affects me. But outside the United States, I want to see what's going on in the rest of the world, and some of the stuff's awful, and some of the stuff internally is awful. I mean, now we have self-proclaimed socialists that are seriously being considered for the office of the President of the United States. I don't understand that. There's a lot of good people who fought and died for this nation to uphold what the law of the land is supposed to be, which in this instance is in our country is the Constitution of the United States. But there are a whole bunch of judges and lawyers and everything else that twist it around, and it's like define is and things like that. One word can mean a lot to a lawyer or a judge. It's like we're losing the country. Khrushchev was not too far off when he said we will bury you. Now some say he didn't ever go on to say we will bury you from within. Some say he didn't say that. But he intimated it if he didn't say it. And that's what's happening now. We're being buried from within. This political correct stuff, the lesson plans in the schools, the government takes control of schooling, and wouldn't normally be a bad thing until agendas come into place, because there's never been anything, there's never been anything that has happened that was a good idea that didn't turn into something worse. And you can take Sting in the liberal side to uphold that with his song, I never saw any miracle of science that didn't turn out as something worse, and things like that. So this is not a Republican or a Democratic thought process. This is a human process. It's about us learning how to keep this republic. The woman, as we may know from history, asked Benjamin Franklin after he got out of the signing or the meeting, and they decided on a country here for us and a way that the country should go. She asked him, what form of government do we have, as if she had no role in that. And perhaps at that time there was no vote. There were people that were representing the colonies and everything else, and she asked him a pertinent question, and he said, a republic, we've given you a republic, if you can keep it. What does the Republic mean? The Republic means that we can say what we want to say. We can be free at last. Like Martin Luther King Jr. Was so eloquent in stating in that great speech, free at last, we shall be free at last. Now that's a great speech. I love the speech. The speeches that almost any speech he gave was pretty on page and awesome. Pardon me while I have a cigarette. Politically incorrect? Tough. In my day, we had freedom. So this is how far it's going away. If you've got a problem with it, you're part of that problem. Okay. You don't smoke? Well, how come I can't come back at you the same way? That's neither here nor there in a sense, but it does represent the Republic. We have got to continue to be mindful of all of the sacrifices and all of the people that could have stayed at home. They could have run to Canada or anywhere else and not fought for this nation, which they understood to be a republic, a constitutional republic of free people. The great gift that France gave us, the Statue of Liberty, still stands in the harbor, and they gave us that great statue because they admired our light. We are a shining light for the nation, or we used to be. Now, again, we've got self-proclaimed socialists that are actually being taken seriously, running for office. And you'll find that a lot of the people in Hollywood, and matter of fact, the majority, are on the side of that sort of thing. So let's harken back in history. Those who shall not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. Who shot Lincoln? An actor. John Wilkes Booth shot Lincoln. Killed one of the greatest presidents, one of the greatest thinkers of all time. Some may differ with me. Some think that Lincoln wasn't that great. Well, who's great? He did a lot of great things. We're all human beings. Was Lincoln infallible? No. Am I infallible? No. Are you? No. We need to keep this republic. And for all that it stands, even with its warts, if there's any warts involved, we can try to alleviate those warts. Anybody who's ever had warts knows that ultimately your body will figure out the code. It's like it's trying to your body's constantly calculating numbers, trying to break the safe, as it were, like you were a safe cracker, trying to break the code of the wart. And once it figures out that strain of wart, one day you wake up and all of a sudden the warts go away. Sometimes it takes years, but even when you sleep, your body is calculating how to get rid of that intrusion. Well, I'm, again, gray and somewhat old. But I'm calculating how to get rid of the intrusion that we find in the United States today, as I perceive it, because I remember freedom. It's unfortunate that the younger generations mainly don't get it, because they've never lived it. They've never had that freedom. So they think this is all right. It isn't. I could go on and on, but this is all I want to say at the moment. If you want a part 2, I'll give you one. If you don't want a part 2, I may decide to give you one anyway as time permits, even though I work hard and I don't have much time and I haven't done a video in forever. So